Hey everyone, welcome to Stand and Empower. And in this segment, I have my special guest, Marco Varillas, and he is a correctional facility clinician. Hi, Marco, welcome.
Hi, Lisette. How are you? Thank you.
Good. Yeah, well, thank you for taking some time out of your busy work schedule to be here for this interview. And so
Of
tell us a
course.
little bit about you. What are you passionate about?
Hi, I'm 43. I think I'm passionate about helping others. I really like listening to people. I like to listen to people's stories. I feel like that's the best way of getting to know somebody. But then again, sometimes people choose to disclose, some things that might not be helpful versus things that can really give you insight into their personality and character traits. But yeah, just love listening to people and seeing how I can help them and see if I can relate to them somehow.
Okay. Well, that's good, especially, in the field that you're in, so important, right? And it's the helping profession, right?
Yes, exactly.
Well, what are some of the challenges you faced and how have you overcome them?
So personally, I mean, okay, so I came to this country when I was 9. I hated it. I didn't speak English. I stood out. I just thought, if I act up, maybe I'll go back home. So that didn't work. So eventually, I was like, I don't like this, but I started getting used to it, started learning the language, and started liking it. And so I guess that would be personally, that was probably like my biggest, like, whoa, this is not, I don't like this. I was very uncomfortable.
Mm.
But then later on, I think I had some medical issues that were definitely hard for me and, my family as well. So I think I was diagnosed with cancer in 2016, and it was definitely, you never prepare for such a diagnosis. It just hits you like a ton of bricks. And I feel like one person can take it okay, the person that gets diagnosed, but then you start thinking about the family, like how are they going to take it? What are they going to do? You try and put up a strong face just for them, but in reality, inside for you is devastating. So I think medically, that was probably one of my biggest challenges that I've had to personally deal with and learn from and deal with.
That sounds really tough. Like, I don't even know how you went through that and like, how did you deal with it? Like, what helped you?
So again, I think one thing that helps me even now, just in general, I think is, my dad used to always say, if you think you have it bad, somebody has it way worse than you, and probably they're not even complaining about it. So every time I would, think of like, why me, or this sucks or whatever, I would think, there's somebody that is maybe losing a leg right now, or
Mm.
there's somebody that just got, the news that maybe you got 4 months to live, or, baby's dying, or, whatever. It was just
Yeah.
like, I shouldn't be complaining about this. I'm still here. I'm still walking. I'm still able to do some of the things I enjoy. So, yeah, just knowing that somebody has it worse than me is definitely humbling and definitely puts things into perspective that it's not that bad.
Yeah, that's good. I can, only imagine that that must have been very encouraging for you to do, especially with like, well, what did the opposite look like, right?
Yes.
When you think
Yeah.
about the situation.
And
Yeah.
you don't want to think of the opposite, right? Because especially with cancer, it's
Yeah.
either one, two, three, or four, and then it's either you're okay, remission, or quality of life for however long you can make it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
the other side is very bad.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, who has been your biggest supporter?
So, I mean, I think that since I can remember my parents, mom, dad, grandparents when they were alive, family, uncles, cousins, everybody. I feel like I have a really strong support system, but
Yeah.
mainly, of course, immediate, mom, dad, wife now, brother. So yeah, as immediate goes them, but then extended, yeah, friends, even teachers, I've had support me, but comes down to parents and wife.
Yeah. No, and it's good to have people like that in your life that you can count on.
Yeah, because sometimes, your loved ones will say things you want to hear.
Mm.
and just to make you feel better and motivate you, which of course is appreciated and great, but maybe sometimes you also need to hear it in just a raw way, like this is real, like this is what is really happening versus like, oh, don't worry, everybody goes through this. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
comforting, that can help, but it's almost like shielding you from what's really, really coming.
Yeah, that's true. And that's important because I think that does happen often, right? It's like kind
Yeah,
of minimizing the reality of it. You want the person to think positive about their situation, but you also have to be real with those feelings, right? Those tough ones.
yeah, no, definitely it's hard.
Yeah. Well, what has been the most impactful for you in this season of life?
I just feel like, I've overcome a lot. I feel like I'm still growing, I'm still learning, I'm still dealing with some medical complications here and there, not as bad as before, of course,
Mhm.
or early in the diagnosis, I would say. But still, it's just, there's always something that happens. And again, as I mentioned earlier, knowing that somebody has it worse than me and that they're not complaining is what just kind of gets me through things and keeps me grounded, I think. So, yeah, I'm just kind of thinking that way, positive, and knowing that I can overcome whatever I can if I put my mind to it, and also be around people that can motivate you, help you, and know that deep down they have the best interest. So,
Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you. Now, what would you say to someone going through a difficult time in their life? Like, who can they reach out to? So, let's say they don't have supportive family, right? Maybe their family dynamic is completely different. So, what would you say to them?
yeah, so that's actually something I deal with a lot here working in a correctional institution. A lot of the population I work with are homeless or, lost their families because of their addiction or mental illness. So they have nobody. So I always try and recommend, find support groups. There's a lot of support groups. At least in California, there's almost anything you can come up with, there's a support group for.
Mm,
So I always try and tell them, reach out to those support groups, try and meet people that will help you versus bring you down. Try not to even sometimes stick around your old neighborhoods or people that will bring you down eventually. So I
yeah,
would say seek support. Like it doesn't have to be family. It doesn't have to be, somebody that you've known for years. It can be somebody completely random. And if you approach it, appropriately, you can get support.
yeah, that's true. And there's tons available within, around the area people live in. They just have to look for them, right? Get online, find something, read about them.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly. There's a lot. You just have to look for it.
do you have someone that you look up to in your life, somebody in particular?
I feel like both my parents, like I said, we came here when I was 9, which was 1990. And, my parents left everything
Mm.
back home to come here and look for something better for us. So, it was, I can only assume that it was extremely difficult for them. If I went through a difficult time, they did as well, and as adults, it's probably even harder, I think, because they had to navigate how are we going to work? What are we going to do? We got to do this. We have a child. So, as a kid, all you worry about is, okay, who am I playing with next? What am I going to do? I just want to have fun. You're not
Mm.
really looking at, okay, how are we going to eat? How are we going to get clothes? How are we going to pay rent?
Yeah.
So my parents have been, very inspiring and just just they're so generous and willing to help and just so driven that that's what that's why I look up to.
Yeah, no, that's good that you have someone like that in your life. And well, not someone, you have multiple people, right? So
Yeah,
that's amazing. Good. Well,
yeah, it helps.
yeah. Well, thank you again for being here today. And I do have one final question for you. How do you stand and empower?
So I always like to tell people, you know again, I'll go back to it. If you think you have it bad, somebody has it worse. I also like to always let people know, like, you always have to remember what your limitations are. Don't make decisions that are out of impulse. Try and make decisions that are strongly considered. If you got to do research, do the research. Don't act on impulse. And also, just lastly, I guess I would say is, if you really like something, stick with it. Be it's okay to be different, and it's okay to not get it right the first time, and give yourself, just give yourself some acknowledgement, like, hey, I did this, like, I value that. Good for you, good for me. I did it, like, praise yourself, because we don't get a lot of that from other people. People don't know how to give compliments, and people don't know how to take them.
Yeah.
So give yourself compliments, and keep yourself motivated, and keep yourself positive.
Yeah, no, that's really great advice. And for everybody watching, write these things down. They're very important to keep in mind. Well, if you guys have any other questions, you can always reach out to Michael Varillas if you want to know more about his story and, any input that he can share. His information will be in the link.
Thank you so much, Said. Thank you for having me.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you again for being here. I really do appreciate the time that you took to be in this interview.
Of
And
course.
yeah, we'll see you guys next time at Stand in Power.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.